You're standing over a dead lion, spear still in your hand, meat right there, blood still warm. Every muscle in your body says, walk away. Not because you're full, not because it's dangerous anymore. It's already dead. Here's the thing nobody tells you. Something ancient in your brain is making this decision for you. And it has nothing to do with hunger, and everything to do with a rule your ancestors couldn't afford to break. You didn't learn this rule. Nobody sat you down and explained it. You just know it. Lion, wolf, tiger, hawk, shark. Off the menu. Permanently. Not occasionally eaten in emergencies off the menu. Structurally off the menu. The way incest is off the menu. The way eating your own species is off the menu. It's not a preference. It's a wall. And walls like that don't build themselves. Something put it there. So let's find out what. First up, this isn't just you. It's everyone. Everywhere. Pull up any culture, any continent, any century, and you find the same wall in a different accent. Kosher law bans birds of prey and land predators by name. Leviticus draws a hard line around anything that hunts. Halal dietary law does almost the same thing, forbidding fanged predators outright. Two traditions, thousands of miles apart, arriving at the identical rule without comparing notes. But here's where it gets interesting. This isn't just religious law dressed up as divine preference. Anthropologists studying modern hunter-gatherer groups, the Hadza in Tanzania, Arctic Inuit communities, find the same avoidance showing up without scripture. No holy book required. The lion carcass gets left. The wolf gets skin for its pelt, not its meat. Something is happening at the level of instinct, and religion just wrote it down later and called it law. Now here's the wild part. This pattern is so consistent across unrelated cultures that anthropologists have a name for it, a cultural universal. Things so deeply wired into how humans behave that they show up whether or not the cultures ever made contact. Incest avoidance is one, disgust at rot is another, and sitting right there next to them, refusing to eat things that eat meat. That's not coincidence. That's convergent evolution of a rule, not just a body part.
Back to you, spear in hand, lion at your feet. Feel that resistance? That's not squeamishness. That's a cultural universal running live in real time in your own head, thousands of years after the rule was written into you. You're not overthinking this. You're correctly running an ancient program. So what's the program actually protecting you from? Evidence 2. The food chain is a filter, and predators are what's left in it. Think of an ecosystem like a water filter, the kind under your kitchen sink. Every layer catches a little more junk than the layer before it. A plant absorbs whatever's in the soil, pesticide residue, heavy metals, whatever's floating around. A rabbit eats 40 plants over its life and concentrates all of that. A fox eats 40 rabbits and concentrates that. By the time you get to the animal sitting at the top of the food chain, you're not eating meat anymore. You're eating the filtered, concentrated residue of everything beneath it. This is called biomagnification, and it's one of the most well-documented processes in ecology. DDT in bald eagles, mercury in tuna, PCBs in orca populations. The higher up the chain, the dirtier the meat gets. Not because predators are unhealthy, because they're efficient accumulators of everything unhealthy in their environment. Here's the formal part, and then I promise we'll get back to the fun stuff. In 1913, Arctic explorers on an Australian expedition ate polar bear liver to survive a food shortage. Within hours, they were vomiting, peeling skin, collapsing with headaches so severe they thought they were dying. They were, from hypervitaminosis A. Polar bear liver stores such an extreme concentration of vitamin A, itself concentrated from a lifetime of eating seals that concentrated it from a lifetime of eating fish, that a single meal can be lethal to a human. Inuit communities have known this for generations. They feed the liver to their dogs and throw the rest away. Yes, the top of the food chain can literally poison you with too much vitamin A. Nature has a sense of humor and zero chill. So that wall in your brain, part of it is just good chemistry. Eating a predator is eating a concentrated report of every toxin its prey ever survived. You're still holding the spear. The lion hasn't moved, but you're starting to understand why you haven't either.
Evidence 3. Even if it wasn't toxic, it would taste like a punishment. Let's talk texture for a second. A prey animal, a cow, a deer, a chicken, spends its life doing one of two things, standing still or slowly grazing. That builds soft, marbled, fat-laced muscle. Great eating. A predator spends its life doing the opposite, explosive sprints, ambush lunges, short violent bursts followed by long stretches of total stillness. That builds a completely different kind of muscle. Dense, fibrous, built for speed over comfort, with almost none of the intramuscular fat that makes meat taste good.
Imagine biting into a muscle built like a coiled spring instead of a cushion. That's lion, that's wolf, that's tiger. And then there's the smell. Many predators, cats especially, mark territory using scent glands loaded with compounds designed to be as pungent and long-lasting as possible. That chemistry doesn't just sit on the outside of the animal, it runs through the fat and tissue. Big cat meat is frequently described, by the rare people who've tasted it, mostly out of survival necessity, as sharp, musky, almost chemical. Your ancestors weren't being picky. They were reading an honest signal. This doesn't taste like food because it isn't built to be food. Now stack the economics on top of this. There's a concept in behavioral ecology called optimal foraging theory. Basically, evolution rewards animals that get the most calories for the least risk. A lion is calorie poor, all that lean, tough muscle, and risk rich. It has claws, teeth, and opinions about being hunted. Compare that to a gazelle, high fat, high calorie return, and it doesn't fight back nearly as hard. If you're an ancestor doing the math, and your body is always doing the math, even when you're not aware of it, hunting the predator is the worst possible trade. Maximum danger, minimum reward, terrible meat at the end of it, if you even survive to eat it. Here's the problem though. None of this fully explains the wall. Toxicity explains why it's unwise. Texture explains why it's unpleasant. Foraging math explains why it's inefficient. But none of that explains the specific, visceral, can't even look at it feeling you had standing over that lion. Danger and inefficiency get you avoidance. They don't get you disgust. For disgust, we need a fourth piece.
Evidence 4. Disgust isn't an emotion. It's your immune system, outsourced to your imagination. There's a theory in evolutionary psychology developed by researchers Valerie Curtis and Adam Oaten that frames disgust as a kind of behavioral immune system, a set of gut reactions, pun fully intended, that evolved to keep you away from things statistically likely to make you sick, long before germ theory existed to explain why. Rotting food, open wounds, bodily fluids from strangers, disease-ridden environments all trigger the same recoil, because across thousands of generations, the humans who felt that recoil and backed away survived to pass on the gene, and the humans who shrugged it off didn't. Now, here's where predator meat slots in perfectly. A predator's diet is, by definition, a diet of other animals. Sick ones, weak ones, dying ones, the ones easiest to catch. Predators are essentially walking archives of every parasite and pathogen circulating through the ecosystem beneath them. Eating a predator isn't just eating concentrated toxins, it's eating a concentrated biography of disease exposure. Your disgust reflex doesn't need a microscope to know that. It just needs millions of years of ancestors who ate risky things and didn't make it, versus ancestors who felt sick just looking at the carcass and lived to raise kids who felt the same thing. That's the wall. Not one brick. 4. Toxicity, taste, energy math, and an immune system that learned to think. Now, the honest part, because I promised you I wouldn't pretend certainty where there isn't any. Anthropologists still argue about the weighting of these causes. Some lean hard into the disease avoidance explanation as the dominant driver. Others think the taboo is mostly cultural scaffolding built on top of a much simpler practical reality. Predator meat is scarce, dangerous to obtain, and just doesn't taste good. And the disgust showed up after as a story to reinforce a decision that already made economic sense. The honest answer is, we don't know exactly how much of this wall was built by biology versus built by culture standing on biology's shoulders. What we do know is that it shows up, reliably, everywhere humans have ever lived, which tells you it's old, older than writing, possibly older than language. Here's the mirror effect, and it's going to ruin the grocery store for you a little. Next time you're standing in a meat aisle, look at what's actually there. Beef, chicken, pork, lamb, fish, every single one of them, prey animals, or animals we've bred to behave like prey animals. Docile, fast fattening, low risk, high yield. You will not find a single predator on that shelf. Not one apex hunter, anywhere, in any grocery store, in any country, on Earth. That's not a supply problem. Wolves exist. Big cats exist. Nobody's farming them for meat. And it's not because nobody's thought of it. It's because the wall your ancestors built is still standing in every supply chain on the planet, 400 generations later, completely invisible, completely unquestioned, doing its job perfectly.
You'll never look at a butcher's counter the same way again. Every cut in that case isn't just a cut of meat, it's a fossil record of a rule so old and so successful that it shaped an entire species' food supply without anyone ever needing to say it out loud. Back to the lion. You're still standing over it, spear still in your hand. And now you know what that hesitation actually was. Not fear of the dead, not squeamishness. 4 separate, independently evolved systems: chemistry, biology, economics, immunity, all screaming the same sentence in different languages. This isn't food. This is the thing that used to compete with you for food. You put the spear down. You walk away. Not because you're weak, because somewhere back down the chain of everyone who ever came before you, someone else stood exactly where you're standing, felt exactly what you're feeling, and chose to walk away too. And that single choice, repeated for 10,000 generations, is the only reason you're here to feel it at all. The lion doesn't get eaten. It gets remembered. That's the whole rule, wearing the shape of an instinct. The dead don't feed you. They teach you what not to become.